Because normally the criminal case has to take precedence over the civil case. He shouldn't have won on that one because constitutionally that went against Michael's constitutional right. He won on that one too.
Michael's deposition is due on a particular date in January. What happens is initially he's saved by the Los Angeles earthquake of '94, which happens the day before he's supposed to be deposed. That buys them an extra week, but within that week they are again not able to postpone the civil case deposition.
When the judge is not ruling in your favor, that tells an attorney, maybe we need to settle this because he's not ruling in our favor right now.
And so on the eve of literally the night before he would have been forced to give away his defense under oath, the civil settlement is reached, the civil case is settled.
He was negotiating, Johnny Cochran came on board. He was negotiating with the insurance company. At first the insurance company said no, they weren't going to pay it. And he went back and forth, and Johnny Cochran negotiated. He was a great negotiator because he was a PI attorney. He started out a PI attorney, and he convinced the insurance company to pay the settlement. When Michael settled the case, the judge, they made him drop his extortion claim. So the real story hasn't been told. The real story is that Michael Jackson was the victim of an elaborate extortion scheme that launched the false allegation.
Superstar Michael Jackson and the teenage boy who filed a civil molestation suit against him have reached a multi-million-dollar out-of-court settlement. Attorneys on both sides appeared today at a joint press conference to announce a mutual resolution of the lawsuit. But lawyers are not discussing the actual amount of the settlement.
The civil settlement includes a specific clause which says that it doesn't preclude anybody involved from testifying in a criminal case. And then to reiterate that, at the press conference announcing the settlement, Larry Feldman specifically denies that this will have any impact on the criminal case.
Has Michael Jackson bought your client's silence?
I am not going to have anything to do with talking about the terms of the settlement, and nobody's bought anyone's silence.
A civil case is only about money. If they, and I tell people this too, we're in a state where they could have went after him criminally and came back after the money. All they wanted, a lot of people think because he settled the civil case that voided the criminal. That's not true. It did not void the criminal. The reason they never came after him criminally in '93 because they couldn't find any corroborating evidence to agree with Jordy Chandler's story. As a matter of fact, they found out that the description he gave of Michael's body was not accurate. If that was accurate, that was corroborating.
As of summer 1994, the prosecution is running a grand jury long after the settlement and calls witnesses to the grand jury and questions them about whether Michael Jackson could have had plastic surgery to his penis to avoid a match. Now, why would they be doing that? Why would they be calling witnesses and asking those questions if in fact the photographs had matched?
See, people need to know they never indicted Michael in '93 because they couldn't come up with enough evidence to indict him. And so the way they're spinning it, well, oh, he settled, so that voided the, no, it did not. If that prosecutor, Tom Snedden, could have found anything to corroborate that boy's story, he would have still gone after him criminally too.
Victor Gutierrez is a freelance reporter born in Chile. According to him, he first went to a NAMBLA meeting in 1986. What is NAMBLA? NAMBLA stands for North American Men Boys Love Association. So it's basically a pro-pedophile group.
Tell us about you infiltrating this group.
Actually, the infiltration was fairly easy. They had a website. I paid $35. I joined the group. They sent me a letter praising me for my courageous step in joining the organization. I began to get emails from them. I was subscribed to their magazine. They started to send me their magazine, but they wouldn't allow me to attend any of their secret underground meetings until I'd been a member for 3 years and had been sponsored by another active duty member. Every conversation that I had was about where to go to have sex with little boys, how they could attract little boys, how they could groom little boys. That was their agenda.
So at this meeting, he overhears conversations talking about how it would be great if Michael Jackson was a pedophile. Because if Michael Jackson is a pedophile, that makes it easier for societies to accept pedophilia as a whole. So after this NAMBLA conference, after this 1986 conference, it becomes Victor Gutierrez's mission to prove that Michael Jackson is a pedophile. He starts befriending Michael Jackson's maids, former employees, and he even approaches Joy Robson, Wade Robson's mother. Joy Robson subsequently told him to get lost, and Joy Robson reported him to Michael Jackson. This is in 1992, before allegations of Michael Jackson even rose. So during the 93 allegations, Victor Gutierrez served as a source for many journalists, including but are not limited to Diane Dimond and Maureen North. He also coaches Michael Jackson's former employees, such as his maids, Blanca Francia and Adria McManus, notable ones, to sell their stories to tabloids. In 1996, Victor Gutierrez wrote a book titled Michael Jackson Was My Lover, a book that glorified pedophilia through the relationship between Michael Jackson and Jordan Chandler. The Chandler family has since dismissed Victor Gutierrez's book as pure fiction. The Chandlers, Raymond Chandler, released a book in 2004 titled All That Glitters.
Within days of Jordan Chandler and his family settling his 1993 lawsuit against Michael Jackson, I received a call from Jordan's uncle. He wanted to do a book in which he would describe in detail the allegation of molestation against Michael Jackson. And he said that Jordan's father had given him all the information he needed for the book, and he believed it was outside the bounds of the confidentiality agreement because he would be the author.
After careful examination between Michael Jackson Was My Lover and All That Glitters, these two books, we have found many instances of consistent storytelling between the two books, especially from Evan's point of view. At times, the stories are even word for word the same. Truthfully speaking, the only differences between the two books are the supposed sexual acts between Michael Jackson and Jordan Chandler. Now, when you look at some of these parallel stories even deeper, Gutierrez's book, which preceded the Chandler's book by 7 years, even sources some stories directly to Evan. So how would it be possible for Gutierrez to tell these confirmable stories first? Michael Jackson Was My Lover also featured many documents of the Chandler family that could only have come from Evan. This proves that Victor Gutierrez, a man who has an agenda for pushing Michael Jackson as a pedophile, a man who had coached people to lie against Michael Jackson, was in fact connected to Evan Chandler, the father of the first accuser.
We've gotten a constant stream of calls and letters from people making dubious claims about the singer. Frankly, we ignore most of them. But when I heard the facts of this story, I just had to go to Canada and check it out myself.
Journalist Diane Dimond got a tip from her source that a child had been molested by Michael Jackson. This child lived in Toronto, so she flew to Toronto with authorities to interview the boy.
And I'd like to make a confession about something that happened between me and Michael Jackson.
And this child proceeded to tell wild stories with vivid details.
Like, he started just touching like our stomach and things, like he'd rub our stomach and then he'd get lower, and then that's when I started saying, like, what are you doing? He said, it's okay, don't worry, bodies are meant to be touched. And he showed me this place, like a saddle shop, where he said he gets stuff for his animals there. I don't know what he got, but
they're gonna think you're making it up.
Yeah, I know, but I don't care about his money. He can keep it. His eyes are big and they're dark, they're cavern, and like the sockets to go right in, you know?
We showed the boy several photographs. Some of them were of Neverland employees, and he was able to identify each and every one of them.
Yeah, that's him. The way it almost goes, that's him.
I found him fairly believable too.
During police interviews, the child broke down and confirmed that he had been coached. At the end, it turned out he was coached by Rodney Allen.
About Neverland, about Havenhurst, about Disneyland, about Michael Jackson's body. Where did he get all that information?
He got it from me.
This kid is a A1, #1 liar.
Professional.
Rodney Allen is currently serving a life sentence in a Canadian prison for pedophilia. Paula, a Michael Jackson investigator, has confirmed through letters to Rodney Allen that Rodney Allen was in fact connected to Victor Gutierrez. In 1999, there was a blog post floating around the internet that was said to be written by Rodney Allen, but no one took it seriously at the time because there were no evidence to who authored the post. Paula sent this blog post to Rodney Allen, and Rodney Allen has since confirmed that he in fact did write this confession. And in the confession, this is what he talked about in regards to the Jordan Chandler case. This obviously doesn't prove anything concrete, but it's still interesting that Rodney Allen, a man who was connected to Victor Gutierrez, a man who has a history of coaching kids to lie against Michael Jackson, had that to say.
The king of pop chalks up a